G'day everyone, this is Terry again from Aussie Diamond Painters. I thought I'd do another stick with me and just see how we go. I've got, today is Wednesday. I'll probably be putting this up on my Thursday, which is your Wednesday. And I'll keep going on with the tag, getting to know you a little bit better tag. So that's a bad drill, and we'll just see how we go. Okay, we're up to question number 47, I think. What is your favourite type of clothing? Well, I would have to say, at my age now, whatever's the most comfortable. I'm only a shorty, so the long skirts don't really suit me because they sort of cut me in half. But I do wear a lot of trousers to work. Fairly tight trousers, I find them more comfortable. Also with psoriasis, I've been trying to cover up my legs and arms for quite some time now, because they look quite ugly. I'm on injections for the psoriasis at the moment, and it's cleared up, but I've still got a bit of scarring that'll take a little while to go. I've only been on these new injections for probably 2 or 3 months. So it'll take a while to kick in properly and help with the scarring. I thought I was actually having issues with my, going off the subject a little bit, but my toenails have psoriasis in them as well, which mean that the nails curl around my toe. So they were looking pretty ugly, and I was losing a lot of feeling in my feet. But since I've been on these needles, that feeling's coming back because the nail is actually releasing the skin, which was probably wrapped around a nerve or something that was making them feel numb and all that sort of thing. I just thought I was, I don't know, bad circulation or something where I couldn't feel my toes very well. But it seems to be that it was actually the nail wrapping around the skin that was cutting off the nerves or something like that, I think. So anyway, that's a little bit off the subject, but I'm walking better now, and certainly not as much pain in my toes as I was having, so that's great. And they don't feel as cold because the circulation was also, I think, affected with it as well. You might be able to notice with this, this is actually my parents' 60th wedding anniversary picture that I'm doing here. They're coming up for, their wedding photo. They're coming up for their 60th wedding anniversary in November of this year. So I'm trying to get this done for them for that. I think I've bitten off more than I can chew, but I'm slowly getting through it. And when you walk away, you can slowly see what the picture is, and it's just so much confetti. If you can see the dress down here, I don't know whether you can or not. The dress all around here is the bottom of Mum's wedding dress, and it's just total confetti. So many colour changes, even though it's like a black, white and grey photo. There have been a lot of changes, colour changes in it. And with this one, the beads are popping up all the time, and so I don't really know what I'm going to do with it when I'm finished with it. I might have to see if I can get some of that aqua glue or something and glue it down before I frame it. If you have any ideas, put it down in the comments and I'll take a look at them and see how I go. What's your favourite way to pass the time? Well, at the moment it's DPing. I've done a few of them now. I'm working on 2. You saw the other one the other day, or yesterday when I put it up. Is just the little pug for my daughter's boyfriend who wanted it. I have quite a few. I work in my bedroom. My daughter and her boyfriend live with me, and I've got a big fold away table here in my bedroom. So just around here behind me, I've got piles of DPs to get through. So I've got plenty to carry on with, but I always seem to, like everybody else, buy more. It's an addiction, I know, even just the buying of it is. But anyway, that's life. I'll just get another colour out. This one here has a capital Y as one of the symbols, and a capital Y with a stroke through it is another one, and they're always close together, and they're a pain to you know, notice which is the Y without the stroke and which is the Y with the stroke. As you can see, I'm using these lockables. First time I saw them was on a video Wendy had done, gone off my meds, and I bought them for $20 here in Australia, but everywhere now they've gone up to about $60 here in Australia, so they're just too expensive to buy. So I've only got the one set. I wish that I bought 3 or 4 at the time. One day hopefully they'll come down again, but because we can't buy from the US Amazon, don't really have that much choice. Okay, the next question is, what is your favourite way to pass the time? I don't know whether I did this, but yeah, DPing at the moment. I come home from work and I try and do at least an hour on this one for Mum and Dad a night. I always miss one. Just put that colour away and now it's there again. Oh well. Yeah, I try and do at least an hour a night. I'm hoping to get back to the stage because I do it because I enjoy doing it, but at the moment with this one it's feeling a little bit like a job that I have to do. Now that I've started it, I have to finish it. But anyway, that's life. That was a lot I had to put of that colour. Anyway. What is the name of your favourite restaurant? It's a Mexican restaurant over at Rosebery. I can't remember the name of the restaurant. Isn't that terrible? It's one of those tiny little out-of-the-way places that, you know, it's not very big. It only has half a dozen 8 tables. They do a lot of takeaway meals. But I always go over there and eat in. Yeah. Oh, what is the name of that place? I just can't remember off the top of my head. I have an issue with memory. So my memory isn't so good. Oh, I can't remember the name of that place. Doesn't matter. What is your all-time favourite city? Well, Sydney's pretty good, but LA's better with Disneyland and all the stuff you got over there. I've been in LA probably 3 or 4 times now. I'd love to go over again. I'd love to go over and meet some of these people that you see on the videos. Love to organise some sort of a meeting that, you know, everybody will go to. Maybe in a couple of years, we'll see. But if anybody would be interested in something like that, let me know and see if I can organise something and we can all, you know, take a couple of years to save up or whatever and go over together. That'd be great. What is your favourite candle scent? Well, I'm going to be pretty boring. The same as my ice cream, French vanilla. I just love the smell of it. I think it's gorgeous. And it's a clean, a really clean smell. So, 23. I don't know how you people sort out your drills, but I put them in the number order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which I suppose is also the DMC order. I usually like inventory sheets, but as you know, as well as I do, that Hurricane don't have an inventory sheet, so either photocopy it, which I do sometimes, or just go from the side panel. It's been convenient to go from the side panel on this one, so that's what I've done. What is your favourite social media channel? Have to be YouTube. I like communicating with people, whether it's, you know, listening and watching. I'd rather see people, whether it's their face or not, or you can hear their voice and you can almost tell what type of person they are by their voice. So I'm trying to do a little bit of checkerboard, but to make some of these colours a little bit interesting, but I'm finding it difficult to do it with most of the colours. This is the first time I've been able to do it on this painting for a long time, because there haven't been enough of the same colour in a square, but all of a sudden this one is, there's a lot in between, a lot of different colours in between, but I can still do a little bit of checkerboarding. And I don't use, not that I could in this painting anyway, really, but I don't use the multiple places. I've not only I'm not sure how to do it, or I'm not very good at it, I prefer to do one drill at a time for some reason. I know a lot of people like the multiples, but I don't seem to place them correctly or something, I don't know. Where are we up to? Where is your favourite place to take out of town guests? I'd say jump on the train or drive into the Opera House and Sydney Harbour Bridge, and down around that area. There you've got Darling Harbour, which is a nice shopping precinct as well as an entertainment precinct. They have a lot of buskers and all that sort of thing there. And it also leads to the Rocks area, which is the really old part of Sydney, where the convicts built a lot of the buildings there. So you got a lot of the buildings built out of convict bricks, convict handmade bricks, and things like that. I find that quite interesting. And there's markets that go on there some days and nights, and I quite like going to them. You can find different things. Oh, before we go on, if you're watching this, Wendy from Gone Off My Meds, thank you very much for doing the dollar store tour. I know you mainly did that for me, and I really enjoyed watching it. I was watching it on the train on my way home from work today, and it was great. Thanks very much. You had whoopee cushions for $1, and I think I could spend $100 at the very least in there from the stuff I saw as you were walking past. Yeah, it looks like a great shop. I wish we had something like that here. I think we did way back when, but their prices kept going up and up and up, and they still called it the dollar store or the $2 store, I think it was. But they were charging like $5 and $6, $10, $15 for different products, and I think they just priced themselves out of the market, like Best Buys did, and a few of the others that came here from the States. Yeah. What's the next question? Favourite subject in high school? I didn't really have a favourite subject at all. I didn't do very well at school. I'm dyslexic, and they didn't find out until after I'd left school. And that's when I started doing all my studying. I couldn't read very well in school. They just thought I was a slow learner, so they just put me in the slow learner class. Where in fact, if the teacher took the time to sit down with me and go through the tests, I'd get really good marks. So as long as I learnt it in class, I remembered it. I remembered it, and if she could ask me the questions verbally, I could answer them. But ask me, have a written test paper, and I couldn't read it properly to be able to answer the question. So, whereas maths, especially early maths, was all figures, I was fine with figures. It was letters that I had issues with. And it wasn't until I was about 25, I was watching a current affairs show here in Sydney, and they were showing what dyslexia, people with dyslexia saw. And I realised that that's what I saw when I looked at a page of writing. So I ended up going and like a little tutor school, and learning all over again how to read. And then I did law, and I did accountancy, and I did all sorts of things after that. And you never see me without a book. But these days it's either on my phone or my iPad. I have hundreds of books on my phone and iPad all the time that I can read. So because I couldn't read when I was younger, I sort of been catching up ever since. Least favourite subject, and it'd have to be English, reading and comprehension. Just couldn't do it. If somebody read me the story, I could tell you everything about the characters and all that sort of thing. But if I had to read it, there was just no way. I just couldn't do it. So English. What's your favourite what was your favourite TV show when you were a child? As I said, I have a very sporadic memory of my childhood from a car accident I had some time ago. They always said that I would get it back, but I never ever did. As you can see, I have issues with these grippies. They slip down, they slip up. What the problem is, I have very little feeling in my hands. So when you can see the grippy sort of all misshapen and all that sort of thing. What happens is that I grip it so hard, because I don't realise I am, because I can't feel it, that I actually squash it, and I squash the pens as well. So after a while these start sliding up and down. I'll have to change it and put another one on. I've been trying to find them in shops around Sydney, just so I have some spares here at home, because I really like them. But I can't find any as yet. I use very thick pens at work. I have arthritis in my thumbs. It's from the psoriasis, my skin psoriasis. It also affects your bones. And you get what they call sciatic arthritis. And I have it in both thumbs, so I like thick, not too thick, but reasonably thick pens. So anyway, I'm not very good at talking about myself. I'm finding this a little bit difficult because I'm not used to it. But anyway. Are you scared of heights? Yes. Are you high maintenance? I really don't think so. I'm very independent. And some men don't like that. I like my time now that I've been on my own for so long. Yeah, I like somebody around if there's somebody around. But I also like my time. I like DPing, or I go down the beach for a walk, or I go down to the beach and read, or sit in the park and read. I've never sat in the park and done DPing, but I suppose I could try that one day. Yeah, but I like my time, and I like my time with my daughter when I can get it. Now that she has a steady boyfriend, that isn't as much as it used to be, which is a shame. I really enjoyed my time with Beck and our chats and all that sort of thing, but I suppose that all changes as they get older and they move to their own lives and loves and whatever else. Are you more inclined to build your own empire or unleash the potential of others? I think unleash the potential of others. I'm usually there to help anyone who asks for it. I've been finding it difficult, especially when Donnie asked for help with a website, and I really had to hold myself back because that's the type of thing I usually do. I usually stick my hand up, and then I get too busy to do things that I want to do. So I probably would have helped Donnie with her website, 12, 18 months ago. Whereas now, I want to do my things now. But I would have helped to build her empire, so to speak. Are you more likely to avoid conflict or engage in it head on? Avoid. I'm not very good with conflict. When you've had a relationship where your supposed partner who loves you and as he used to tell everybody was the best thing that ever happened to him, bashed you around and emotionally abused you as well. Conflict is not something that I enjoy. But yeah, so I avoid it at all costs. But then again, I'm not a walkover either. Not anymore. I used to be. If something is really worrying me or upsetting me now, I'll confront it, and I'll confront the person, or whatever it is, and try and sort it out, or try and find out why there's an issue, and what we can do to remove the barrier or whatever, if there is one, and try and move on from there. But I don't like conflict, and people who get angry and that sort of thing scare me now because of my ex. That's something that I have to get over, and I think I have pretty much, but every now and then I still get a little scared when people get angry or, want to argue and that sort of thing. It's never really been me. So yeah, avoid it, but engage it head on if and when possible. Are you a cat person or a dog person? I'd love a dog. I have a cat because I live in an apartment, and my feeling is that unless you have a really tiny dog, dogs shouldn't be in apartments. There's just not enough room. I mean, and that's just my opinion. I would love a white toy Pomeranian dog. And I think you can have those in units. I think they're small enough for that. But they're also, here in Australia, they are just so expensive. It's just prohibitive, the cost to purchase them. They go anywhere from, here they go anywhere from, 2,000 to 6,000. Yeah, they're just really expensive. And you never, I've tried to find little dogs at shelters and that sort of thing. But it's very rare that they come along into a shelter. And I've never ever come across one anytime I've been there. Are you a fan of any sports team? Go Dragons. Our football, which is rugby league, in New South Wales, and the team for the area where I grew up is the Dragons. So I can remember my grandfather taking me to games when I was a little kid. Their ground, it wasn't very far away from my parents' house. He used to take me to games. He was a one-eyed St George supporter. Oops, my light pad has gone off for some reason. Probably leaned on it or something. Yeah, he was a one-eyed St George supporter. And he gave me my love of rugby league and the Dragons. Although the game's totally different these days, there's very similar probably to the States, where there's no loyalty to your team by the players. They just follow the dollar. Whereas when I was a kid, like, they were garbage men. They worked as well as played football and trained for football. I actually went out with a footballer when I was a hell of a lot younger than I am now. He played for St George as well. But the loyalty's gone. You used to follow the team, and the players that played in that team played for that team all their football career. But now, as I said, they follow the dollar. So whoever can pay them the most, I think, they go for. There's a few that still stick around and are very loyal to their clubs, but there's not very many of them around anymore. And it's the same with the coaches. The coaches used to come up through playing football for that team, but and then become coaches when they finish their football career. But that doesn't seem to happen as much as it used to anymore as well. But I still enjoy the game. Beck and I, before she got into her 20s, we used to have like season tickets and go and watch and yell and scream and not be able to talk at work on Monday and all that sort of thing because I screamed at the football too much. Very ladylike. But not anymore. I don't like going on my own, and she has her own social life, so that sort of went by the wayside. But that's okay. Where are we up to? Are you a good cook? I used to be. I used to have a lot of dinner parties and all that sort of thing back in the 80s and 90s. But now that I'm single, people sort of steer clear of you a bit. they think you're after their husband or whatever, which I'm not. I'm quite happy on my own. And of course I wouldn't go after anybody's husband, whether I like them or not. That's just not on as far as I'm concerned. But also Beck was always picky and choosy about what she wanted to eat, so a lot of the fancy stuff I used to cook, I don't cook anymore because she didn't like, you know, something that was added in it, or rather something simpler, and that's fine with me. I mean, I love making a roast dinner on the weekend, and we have a curry with the leftovers and or whatever. But yeah, if I had a friend, I would probably try and cook him some nice meals. Or when I have people over, like family and friends, I like to cook something nice and something that I think that they would enjoy. My father is the hard one to cook for. He's celiac, so he can't eat gluten, and everything you cook for him has to be like if you're buttering his type of bread, you've got to use a different knife. If you're cooking food that's a mixture of gluten and non-gluten in two saucepans, you can't use the same spoon to stir it with or anything like that. It's all got to be separated. He gets extremely ill if he has any gluten, and I'd hate to think that I made him, you know, that ill by what I'd given him to eat. So he's difficult to cook for, but it's getting easier and easier. There's more things you can buy in the shops over here that's pre-made, that there's a lot of sauce bases and that sort of thing, where I used to make sauces from scratch or pasta from scratch. I don't do that with him so much anymore because it's very difficult to cook gluten-free. I make cakes and things like that with different sort of flours and all that sort of thing. But he likes pavlova. Is one of his favourite desserts, so I normally make him that, or crushed pavlova as I call it. I make they're little meringues. The crushed ones are little meringues that you crush. Well, I crush into a really nice wine glass or something like that, and then I put, you know, thickened whipped cream and all sorts of fruit, and he can eat that. So, and that's just about everybody in my family likes that. So when he comes over, that's usually the dessert I make them. It's the only time he has it is when he comes over here. So I usually try and make him that if I can. Are you an early adopter or a late adopter? If I see something I like or I want to do, I'll go ahead and do it. I don't care if there's 100 people doing it or 2 people doing whatever it is. Jump on the bandwagon as early or as late, I don't really care. If I had more courage, what would I do differently? Stand up to my ex-husband. That's one thing, like when he hit me around or whatever. Yeah, I couldn't stand up to him. He was bigger and stronger, definitely, than I was. Maybe I should have left earlier. I don't know. People ask me why I didn't leave, and people like that, people like he were cowards as far as I'm concerned now. I didn't think that way at the time, but now I do. They have you totally in their control. You know, they make you think that you can't survive without them, and you know, I wouldn't be able to provide for Beck, and I wouldn't be able to get a job that paid enough to provide for Beck on my own. And they sort of brainwash you. You really, excuse me, you really do think that that's the way it is. They have you convinced of that. And it wasn't until I moved back to Sydney and got a well-paying job and still dropped Beck off at daycare and picked her up and did everything myself as far as the housework and that sort of thing. I did all of that myself, all the cooking and cleaning, and worked full-time and 5 days a week. That really opened my eyes to what I could do and how I could provide for Beck. So that's when I decided. I decided to leave him. It still took a while before I actually could, because control freaks like that have control over your money, and so it was a matter of, you know, trying to sneak some aside so you get rent and bond and buy Beck a bedroom, furniture, a bed and things like that, or a cot, things like that. So it did still take a bit of time, but once I made the decision, I stayed strong, and that's what I was going to do. So I had to have a hysterectomy, and I knew that was coming. Back in those days, that was a big operation. It was 6 weeks off work and can't lift anything for 6 weeks and all that sort of thing. So I actually waited for that to be over, and I was recovering from that, and 6 weeks after I had that surgery, that's when I left. So yeah, I couldn't have looked after Beck and myself after that surgery, so sort of went off in a tangent. I think we better cut it off from there. I'm not sure how much I can get up. I'm having issues with uploading stuff to YouTube, so I'll call that for now, and I'll try and upload this to YouTube and see how we go. I'd like to be able to do live paint with me's, or stick with me's, or drill with me's, or whatever you want to call them. But I'd also like to be able to, I think I mentioned it in the last video, I'd like to be able to chat to people while we're chatting. So if anybody knows of any way of doing a Skype group or something like that we could set up and do, that would be great. But anyway, if you like this video, you can subscribe down the bottom and click the bell so you can get notifications when I put up another video. I'll talk to you soon, and have a great day, night, whatever it is, and happy diamond painting, and look after everybody around you. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.